Peace, y'all. It's your man Day, and I'm back. I thought we should have a little talk today. Talk about my Benz. In my Benz, I sit. And the day that I bought this Benz was rather depressing. I know that's kind of strange to hear, but it's the truth. One time I heard a guy say the day that he earned $1 million was the day he was the most depressed in his life. And I kind of got it intellectually, you know. Basically what he was speaking of is he worked so hard to get to a certain place and he got to this milestone and then he realized that that didn't really fulfill him. And I can say the same thing kind of happened to me when I bought this Benz. And it's a used one, so I'm not trying to mega hard flex on you, but it is still a Benz. And it's my first Benz. And I thought it was going to make me really, really happy. Turns out the day when I went to go get the Benz, it was like a really nice day. It was really warm out. And for some reason, I had this feeling like I just didn't want to go anywhere. I just wanted to hang out on my property. I live here on a beautiful farm, and I just wanted to hang out with my girl and my kitty and just hang out. And but I had a Benz waiting for me, and the way that I got it was rather unique. I wasn't really shopping for a Benz. I had the last dealership that I had bought a car from. They called me up and asked me if I still had it and if I'd be interested in trading it in or selling it. And I was like, yeah, sure. And they're like, we have this Benz here, 450 GL. And I was like, that's funny. That's the same picture that I have on my refrigerator of the exact car that I'm trying to manifest. I would like to trade my car in for a 450 GL, sure. And it was a pretty sweet deal. I didn't have to make payments for several months, and it was going to cost me slightly more than the previous car and a little bit more of a bigger payment. But I was like, if you can make that work with my credit where it is right now after building this brand, um, and being a little bit maxed out on the cards and all that, if you can get me into a Benz, hey, if you can make it happen, you can make it happen. So the dealer calls me back and he's like, yeah, I got you approved. Come pick up your Benz. And I was like, okay. I wasn't really expecting it. And so off we went to pick up my Benz. And after sitting there for 3 or 4 hours doing paperwork and all this and that, and after the test drive, and it always seems to draw out a lot longer than you expect it to. I was kind of worn out and I was tired. And then we went to go to a restaurant that we had been to before, me and my lady, that we loved. And we went and it was really bad service and it was shitty food and it just wasn't the same. And there was like an obnoxious couple next to us cackling. And I just had this sinking feeling in my stomach. And I was just like, this is not it. I mean, this restaurant right now isn't it. This isn't making me happy. I'm looking at my Benz parked outside, brand new and shiny, and had been all detailed. Looks great. But I was like, this isn't making me happy. And I had to realize that guy's quote of when he was made $1 million, he got super depressed. And I was like, I think I know what's going on here. I think I know what this guy was talking about now. Before I understood it intellectually, now I kind of got it in actual practice. And so my moral of this story is sure, there's lots of great things that we want to have in life, especially when we're talking about objects and things like this, but I think that the experiences of life are the ones that are a lot more gratifying. I think about the time when I was amateur boxing and when I boxed in the Golden Gloves, and how that was like such a an accomplishment for me because I was overcoming a fear. And so I faced that fear and I performed well and I faced that task and I had that experience and checked that off the bucket list. Yeah, I did that. And I felt great. I didn't get any money for that. In fact, it cost me money and it cost me 2 years of my life to train my ass off, pay my trainer. My business suffered a little bit at that time because, I had to focus so much on the boxing. But the value that I got out of that was immeasurably more than me buying a $26,000 used Benz. I get to ride around in a Benz. It's very comfortable. It is the nicest car I've ever owned. It drives really well. It's super comfortable. I love it. But it's not it. It doesn't fulfill me. You know, what fulfills me, and I think, fulfills a lot of people in this world, are going to be the smaller things in life, the things that, you can't really buy. They say, money can't buy happiness. And listen, it can buy you a lot of comfort. It can buy you a lot of, good things. I'm not debating that. I do think that you need enough money to, fully express yourself in life and create the way you want to create. And so I think it is essential in this society that we live in. But for me, the things that I place value on as I'm growing and I'm seeing like what really matters. I mean, just making my girl laugh and having her, do her boisterous laugh, like the feeling that I get, that's better than the first time I rode in the Benz. Um, Getting one of my customers to send me back an email that says, "Hey, I really loved your products. Um, you guys are doing a great job. Like, know that I touched somebody else." And by the way, in case you're interested, shameless plug, www.dreamlandorganics.com. If you're into CBD, you want to smoke some good CBD flower, you should go check us out. But that's the brand that I'm speaking of. Same thing with my music, having, someone say, "Hey, that song really touched me. That song is fire. Yo, that lyric that you said, da 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 da. I'm feeling that so much." These things, that you can't spend that, that's not like, physical money, and it's not really something you can put in a bank. But as far as what it does for you, internally, and what it does for your psyche and for your soul, it's worth more than the Louis. It's worth more than the Benz. It's worth more than a lot of just objects that you could purchase. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys, and not that it's something that, this information is going to be something that you can necessarily apply, because, just like when I heard the other guy say, "Hey, listen, when I made $1 million, I was depressed," you know, you're not going to be able to really, understand this until you probably experience it. So go out there on your conquest, put a bunch of things on your vision board, and some of them, may be super, you know, um, gratifying to achieve, and there's probably going to be other circumstances around those of why, you really appreciated that, like how you got it. So then when I think about how I got this car, I was like, yeah, I didn't really work hard to get it. Yes, I did manifest it, I visualized it, but the way that it came about was so random. It's not that I have this guilt, oh, I didn't work for it or something like that, but there's something strange about, you know, having to face some resistance and some difficulty in acquiring something that makes it like so much more pleasurable. I'll share another little quick story. When I was a kid playing Little League, I had my first really good season and I didn't make the travel team, and I was pissed. I was like, yo, I'm nice now. I had a great season. I didn't get picked. But I had a friend who was on the team, and he's like, yo, just come to practice. Just come to practice and see what the coach says. Like, just see if he'll let you practice with us. So I did, and I stepped to the coach. I was like, hey, can I just practice with you guys? You need an extra player. So he let me practice for a week, and he agreed that I was a good player, and he actually put me on the travel team. So through my own initiative, I put myself on, and that feeling of making the team was very gratifying because there was some resistance up against me. It wasn't just given to me. Same thing with coming out to this property and how we got this brand started. There was kind of a lot of obstacles in the way. And then when you do achieve something, it just, it's that much more gratifying. The boxing was, just rigorous, just, insane training for 2 years just to get to a point where I could fight for 6 minutes. And, all of that struggle and all that resistance and all that work, it just made it so much more gratifying. And so I just want you guys to think about that, when you're going after things in life, they always say that it's the simple pleasures that matter most, because, you can get all these things. You've heard about the rich person in the mansion, miserable, they have all the money in the world. They have no money worries. But the end of your money worries aren't necessarily the end of your worries outright. And so I guess that's the moral of the story. And just to know that, when you are getting these things and you get the Rolex and you get the Benz, have, I would want to probably say lower your expectation. See it for what it is. It's an object. Have fun with it. Don't put too much importance in it. And I can say that, I am enjoying my Benz now. At first, I came home and I saw there was a little chip in the paint, and I'm getting all anxious and I need to fix it and all that type of stuff. And I was like, listen, I got to let this thing go. This is just a car. I don't care who made it and what the, connotation is behind the name brands. Yes, they're nice cars, but I'm not going to sit here and like babysit this car all the time, worry about what happens when I park it. It's a car. I'm the one who manifested the car. I'm the universal being. I'm the infinite being. I was like, this thing is just a vehicle for me to drive around in. This is my chariot. It's just a car. It's just a watch. It's just some shoes. They don't make you. These are just little ornaments that you can put on yourself, and sure, they're nice and comfortable and they can make you feel a certain way, but don't get too tied up in them, and don't think that that's like, the end of your worries. Once you get the big house and the big car, oh, you're going to be, and you get the pretty wife, and everything's just going to be set from there, because what then after that? How are you going to maintain that? What's next? That's not the end of life, just getting, these possessions, but, having experiences, going on amazing vacations, testing yourself, building a business, failing, succeeding, all these different aspects of life. I think just the journey itself is where we find the actual life. And as our ego minds kind of focuses on goals, we think that that is what's going to give us gratification. So that old saying, learn to stop and smell the roses, to enjoy yourself on your journey, because the journey never really ever stops. Once you get to the top, then it's like, where do I go from here? So you're going to have to learn along the way to appreciate what you have, where you're at, and sure, have fun with those accomplishments. Have fun when you get something, but just realize that, sometimes even experiences and physical objects, you want to go out, say you want to go out and you think that's going to make you happy. Hey, let's go out for a great dinner. And like, I went out with my girl, and it was kind of shitty. It was a lunch, but it wasn't that great. And then you spend that money and I'm like, oh, this wasn't really worth it, but it is what it is. Sometimes you do go out and you have a stellar time and you're like, oh man, that was a great experience. That was really fun. But if we're looking for, gratification in the external, whether it be an experience or an object, it's going to be hit or miss. But if you're the one that's kind of crafting your own life, and you're crafting your own happiness, you're in a lot more of the control seat. You're in the driver's seat. And so I would just say, learn to focus on that. You are the party. You make the clothes, you make the Benz. It's you that's driving it. The Benz should be happy that you're driving it. That's the view you want to have. Not in a narcissistic way, but to be like, hey, cars wouldn't exist unless I was there to drive them. So these things are there for our use, but they're not to be worshipped, and they're not to be idolized, because if you do, you're gonna get that sinking feeling when you realize that I'm the depressed dude riding around in a Benz. I'm the poor little rich kid now, or whatever it is, and that's what it is. You realize that, listen, big houses, lots of stuff. It doesn't mean anything. What do those poor little rich kids usually want? They want some friends, and it's harder for them to make friends depending on where they're at, because they might feel ostracized because they have a different, upbringing in a different, financial level. So at the end of the day, we want to be loved. We want to have experiences that we appreciate. We want to have people that appreciate us for what we do. And those are the things that are most important. And with that, like I said, folks, I'm going to be back every day. So, or just about a lot more consistently on this channel. So, if you guys have any questions or comments, of course, drop them down below. Smash the like button if you're feeling any of the vibes. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, I would like you to consider subscribing. And if you're feeling it like that, share it out there so we can grow this thing, and so we can start a community of positive people sharing ideas, going for their dreams, creating their realities, being artistic, and all those things and above. And with that, I say peace, and I'll holler at you guys later. Until next time. One.